Okay, we are live with Big Race Jim Gazzelli from the Kentucky Derby, Louisville, Churchill Downs, in the no longer raining atmosphere. How are you, Big Jim?
Good, doing great. Weather's turning in our favor. It looks like sun's out for the first time in about a day and a half. Looks like the track is drying out nicely. I will say though, I haven't seen a video screen here that tells you what the track conditions are, whether it's upgraded to fast yet or
It's
what.
it's right now. It's listed on the Churchill Downs feed, which I am watching, as muddy for the main track and good for the turf. We know the
Okay.
turf is going to have some give to it. If it doesn't rain anymore, we're going to get a drying out track over the course of the day that's going to be affected by the sun, how much harrowing they do, and can definitely change the way it plays. Although it seems fair right now, can change the way it plays throughout the day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm standing right next to it. It looks good. There's some tractors ready to make their way around, but yeah, pretty chalky start to the day. I think in that last race, the strong quality was 5-1, which is the biggest price so far today, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see how it progresses now that we're into the stakes races and as we get into the thick of the afternoon.
Yeah, well, it wasn't exactly chalky everywhere. Uh, we got to give a little uh, humble brag here. Notable speech. Romped into 2,000 guineas, paid $25, and I told everybody who'd listen he was for real. Handled City of Troy like it was nothing. City of Troy didn't really fire, but Notable Speech did. I really did believe when we talked about him on the Derby Radar show that they were going to send him to the UAE Derby and try to go to Kentucky. Uh, I thought it was going to be Godolphin's best chance yet to date to win one. They obviously decided to take the grass route, and judging by that performance today, it looks like they knew what they were doing. But we'll get back on track. Just I made that one count, so I'm in a good mood. So
Nice,
uh,
nice, good for
we'll,
you.
we'll roll. And if you watched our Kentucky Derby Radar shows and Past the Wire TV, and you rode with us, you had a good morning. So
Yeah, I
uh,
remember you mentioned that horse back in like February or March even.
first time I seen him run, I
Yeah.
said, "Wow," you know. Uh, Thank you, everybody. Grandma Horse Racing, Smoggy Froggy. This was an unannounced live show, so we don't expect many people here live, but hopefully they'll catch it before the big races. Now, I will say I do have a sure bet coffee play for the day. Uh, I really like in race 7, the 11 Capice with Frankie. A couple of weeks ago, I said, Frankie, today ain't your day. We're going for the price on the other Godolphin. We were right there. I think this one is Frankie's day. Capice has some great running lines overseas, ran with, in Spiral, Nashua, some really, classy horses. She's got a nice turn of foot, was not disgraced in any of those races. And I expect her to run big today. The post is the only concern. The 11 hole, which is now, I guess, the 9 hole with 2 scratches. Short run into that first turn at Churchill on the turf. That is a concern, but I think she should be good enough to overcome it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely including her in my pick fives. I guess just Legend of Time seems to kind of tower over that other field later on, a couple races later. And I think my biggest, strongest opinion of the day still got to be Sierra Leone for me. He's in the Derby. He's going to be my keys on all of my tickets, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's definitely my top choice. I do like a couple of others, like I had said. I think Stronghold has a chance. I think Endlessly can come running late, but Sierra Leone is, in my opinion, without a doubt, the horse to beat. And you and I have been on him since our Derby Radar shows. I think November, December, when from the first one on, we both really
Yeah.
kind of had him at the top of the list, especially after Nash dropped off it, who was up there high pretty early. Also runs today in the Pat Day Mile. Didn't wind up where we thought he might, but he looks good in that race. I mean, he's not my top choice, but he definitely, he's in Louisville on the first Saturday in May, just not in the race we talked about.
Right. Yeah. We were talking about him on the Derby Trail early on. And then, it just seemed like that as the distances got longer, just seemed to be not in his wheelhouse. So, yeah, he's in the Pat Day Mile. I think it's probably either him or Top Connor. We spoke to Chad Brown earlier this week about Top Connor in the Pat Day Mile, and he said kind of cutting him back to that one turn mile should hit him right between the eyes, and he's expecting him to run his best race there. And I think I'm sure you might agree, John, that if Top Connor runs his best race, everybody else is probably running for second in there, I think.
I do agree with that. And when you interviewed Chad the other day, he said something very interesting, because I actually liked Top Connor in that race he ran. And I thought it was very, bold to put him in there off one race. And I figured Chad's trying to take a shot to get him into the Derby because he thinks he's that good. And I was surprised, because when he went to the lead, I'm like, what is he doing on the lead? I thought he'd be coming off the pace. And Chad said the same thing. He didn't expect to find him on the lead. So I think he'll come from off the pace today. And I think he'll run much better. He's got that nice outside stalking trip. And I think you're right. If he fires what I think he's capable of, I think the rest might be running for second.
Yeah. I mean, that race is competitive just about every year. And it's always exciting because you see those horses that were kind of on that early Kentucky Derby trail that never really could get the distances as they got longer. So always a lot of top quality that comes back in that Pat Day Mile. So always a staple on this Kentucky Derby Day card.
I'm going to give a little shout out and tell people how you do things, because I always say, and then we can close with this unless you got any further thoughts. In life, it's not who you know, like everybody says. It's who knows you. So Eric Brem, who owned Texas Red, nice horse a couple of years ago, was out at Jeff Ruby's last night. He said, and I think he put it on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He said that a couple of big names in racing and out of racing were sitting around him. Dave Portnoy, the Barstool dude, was at one table. Kid Rock was at another table. One of the best trainers in the world, friend of ours, was at another table. They're all sitting around. And he said, wow, Louisville on the first Saturday in May. So I told him, I said, here's what I'd have done. I'd have told the waiter very quietly, bring me all three checks. I'd have took care of all three checks, not said a word to any of them, and said, tell the waiter that P6K says, enjoy the Derby. And when I'd have left. And that's how you do it. And after that, they might not have known me, but they'd have known P6K, because people remember things like that.
Yeah.
Can't take credit for that. My brother John taught me how to do all of that stuff. And Dominic taught him. So that's where I learned that trick.
Yeah, and then after that bet you placed this morning, you'd still have plenty left over, I'm sure.
Yes, but let me tell you something. And here's the funny thing. I one time, this is the truth, okay? I live the same way whether I'm broke or have money. I bought a Mercedes S600 in the early 90s, when that was like the ultimate car on the road, when I was 3 months behind in payments on an E-Class, and they were looking to repossess it. So I was 3 months behind on an E-Class, traded it in for the S-Class, made no payments for 3 months, built it into the new payment. And back then, when you bought a new car, the first payment was not due for like 2 months. So I went like 5 months without making a payment, driving brand new Mercedes, dead broke. That's how you roll. See, and my dad looked at me and said, what are you, nuts? Who does that? I says, Dad, listen, it's easy to buy a new S-Class when you got money. When you're broke and 3 months behind in your payments, that's when it's an accomplishment. So
exactly.
That's how we roll. So what can I tell you?
All right. I think we've got 10 minutes to the fifth here.
Enjoy the races. I do agree with you on Legend of Time. Looks to be the top choice in that race. There's a couple of others I'm worried about, but I do like him. And Stay Hot's in there. Remember how much I love Stay Hot in the Breeders' Cup? He didn't fire, but since then he's done nothing but win.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
that's
right.
true.
I won't hold you up. Big Race Jim.
All
Great
right, John.
job out there. Live from Churchill Downs.